All right, so in this question, I asked Dean Graciosi in West Palm Beach, Florida, in the mastermind with the top 10 affiliates on the two biggest launches in internet history. This was the second one over in Tony's backyard. I asked him, what would he be doing? What would he be thinking about? What would he be putting in place to pass the torch, to allow his expertise, his values, his principles, his knowledge, his wisdom to be passed on to future generations, to be able to make a lasting impact and to continue to change people's lives? I would encourage you to think about that too. Like, what are you doing right now to be able to have a greater impact even when you're no longer with us or when I'm no longer with us? It's something that you'll need to start asking yourself at some point. So rather than waiting till you're 80 to think about it, why don't we think about it now? Well, I think Dean has a great explanation. So listen to what Dean has to say about what he is thinking about and what he's putting in place for his children and for his future generations. I think it's awesome. The next question is going to be a little bit more of a higher level conversation, which we talked about the other day. But I want to talk about it again, and that's thinking about where you're at in your life now. Right? You have children. You have more on the way, probably. Right?
It's up to my wife, like 3 or 4 more.
So, what are you thinking about? Our tribe is what we call legacy builders, right?
Okay.
And so, what are you thinking about? What are the things you're putting in place now to pass the torch, so that in the next century, your values, your principles, your wisdom, knowledge, and expertise can be passed on and can continue to impact and change people's lives?
Really, really great question. And I know, especially because you have your daughter, right? That, of course, you're thinking of that, and probably other children coming.
That's right.
So one is, I even crafted this. I geeked out on this when my kids were probably your daughter's age. Start thinking through it, right? And it's been over a decade, but I read some books on how America, not knocking America, I'm proud to be an American, but what happened in America with so much success, they call it the G3 curse. And grandma or grandpa make it. They're the industrialized, they're the capitalists, they're the forward-facing entrepreneur that took crazy risks and made it. And then the next generation, son, daughter, maintains it. And third generation loses it. And they call it the G3 curse. And in Europe, there had been generation after sometimes 10, 15 generations where the next generation, they were handed opportunity, and I just remember that word, they're handed opportunity to continue the growth, right? So that was the two biggest things I took out of it. But it doesn't come, and I think you know this already, but it doesn't come from having a really good trust or a really good will. It comes from the way we raise our children from when they're, up to your knee. And what I've been teaching my children, and I hope it works, and I feel it has, I have a 14, a 12, and a 1-year-old, is I've been teaching, it's funny you said the handoff, because I teach them that we are the Baton family. I'm running the first leg of the race, and no one else before me ran the race. I made the decision to get in this race. And when I'm done, I want to hand the baton off, and I want my family to carry it further. And I want you to have that same concept to hand it to your children and great-grandchildren, because we can be a family that's legacy. We could be the Rockefellers, or we could be the Vanderbilts.
Right.
They were both the richest families in the world. The Vanderbilts have nothing because it wasn't a Baton family. It was the G3 curse. The Rockefellers found a way to have legacy and hand it off. And there's we could go through many families like that, right? So for me, I'm training my kids first off. This whole self-education thing isn't just something we're talking about today. I told my kids if they want to go to college because they want to play sports, or my son wants to be a doctor, he thinks he does, they have to go to college. But I'm not requiring it, but I'm requiring self-education. If they find a field they want to be in, I want them to find somebody who's absolutely amazing at it and go mentor from them, learn courses from them, get in workshops. Like, they're going to get educated, but not the way most people think. The fastest way to the end result is, listen, I really want you to hear this. We live in a different world than even 50 years ago. The way that traditional education was set up, and I'm not knocking college, it just hasn't evolved fast enough. The way traditional education was set up is you have to learn a million things, even though you're only going down a slice of one thing that you're going to be an expert at. The way the world has evolved, that we have access to every bit of information possible, we really just need to learn the things that we need to learn. My nephew went to school for 5 years to get his master's in marketing. He came to work for me, Tanner.
Yeah.
He was with me for 3 months and said, "Oh my God, Uncle Dean, I thought when you used to say this," because I told him this when he was little. He's like, "I learned more in 3 months than I learned in 6 years. Why did I have to learn this when I wanted to?" So that's self-education and learning from people that have already been there, right? You're learning you're learning what you need to learn to go faster and not the wasted part. So that's what I'm teaching my kids, that when they want to do something, it's not how, it's who. Don't look at just the traditional education path. Can you learn from someone who's already been there? You're handing the baton. And I also tell them, how would it feel if I handed the baton off to you, but then you lost this and you gave it to your kids? You guys get to see how hard your dad worked. I don't think my grandchildren are going to see how hard grandpa worked. He's just going to be the nice old guy that has a nice house, right? By the time it gets to them or even their children, if you don't maintain this baton handoff, if you don't tell them our obligation to help other people and have charities and continue to donate the money that I donate and all those things, I said, how would you feel if you let that legacy fall and it was on your watch? I've never been talking to my kids like that since they were little.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then that's really their opportunity too, right? It's like their opportunity in the self-education industry. That's why it's going to grow to $1 billion a day by 2025.
Of course. And they're already in it. When my daughter wants to learn something, my daughter wanted an art class. She went and found a guy online. In fact, in our software found a guy that teaches online courses on the weekends, right? Like that's already part of their DNA.
Yeah.
Right. And I also, just so you know, I also have it set up that at 32 years old, my kids, that's the age where they could start, they're going to be controllers of the trust. But at 32, if they do the right moves, they take ownership of the trust and the revenue, right?
Yeah.
I want to give them that responsibility, but starting at 20, they're like co-trustees without the ability to make big decisions. And by the time they're 32, if they do the right thing, I want to give them I want to give them the power to take this forward. But there's also fail safes. If they don't,
right,
then they can't.
So they don't blow it.
Now here's my thoughts on it. My thoughts on passing the torch. I think it's important as someone who has knowledge, skills, expertise, and results for others. For me, thinking about legacy, right? Thinking about passing the torch to my children and their children and their children, right? Allowing my impact to be carried into the future. I believe we need to start thinking about it now. Thinking about it now, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. First of all, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We might live to 90, we might live to 100, we might live till 40, okay? We don't know our time. We can start thinking about it now. So I would, if I were you, I would be putting your knowledge, your skills, your expertise, and your results into materials that can be passed down. Put it into a book, put it into an interview series, put it into a podcast, put it into a course, right? I'm doing that with my dad. I'm having him come down here to my house here in Sarasota, Florida, and I'm going to film the lessons that he's learned through his life. That's how we can pass the torch of his knowledge and his wisdom and his experience and his expertise, so that my daughter, my future children, and their future children can learn what Grandpa did, can learn what we call him Grandy, can learn what Grandy did, right? In 50 years and in 100 years, they can hear what he has to say. I would encourage you to do that as well. Do that with your loved ones. Have them sit down, map out the lessons that they had in their life, and then get them to share it. Share it in an interview. Share it and record it and film it and capture it. And if you want to go a step further, like we are, share that with other people so you can pass that wisdom on and impact even more people than just your own family, right? But at least do it for your own family so you can pass down that torch. But I think a great thing for everyone who has knowledge, expertise, skills, and results for yourself and others is take that, put it into a framework or a process that other people can follow. You can then sell that information. You can put it into a book. You can put it into a course. You can share it on YouTube. You can share it on different social media platforms. You can share it on a podcast. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can distribute the information. But you can also monetize it so that you can think about it. Think about Og Mandino. Og Mandino passed away a long time ago. Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, passed away a long time ago, but we're still reading their books. We're still reading Think and Grow Rich. That's Og Mandino. Or that's Napoleon Hill, sorry. Or The Greatest Salesman in the World, or The Power of Choice, which is Og Mandino. We're still reading their classics, right? Their legacy is passed down, is passed on. I bet in the next 100 years, we'll still be reading those books. Okay? So we have an opportunity to think about these things now. I would encourage you to think about them right now as well. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's time well spent. You can turn your knowledge, your expertise, your skills, your results for yourself and others into a business. And that's what this whole challenge that Tony and Dean are doing, that's called the Own Your Future Challenge. It's about how to own your future, how to create a business that blesses you and blesses others. It's 5 days, it's free. They'll blow your mind. And then at the end of it, they'll give you an opportunity to go deeper and learn more and be more supported on that journey. I would encourage you to join the challenge, participate in it from two perspectives. Watch it as a student, take notes, and apply it to your life. Secondly, watch it, take notes as if you were Dean or Tony producing it, and then go and produce one. You don't have to do 1 million people like they're going to do. You can do 10, you can do 20, you can do 100, you can do 1,000, you can do 10,000. Okay? Just get in the game. There are people that need what you have to offer. The world needs you to step up, to lead, to be a role model. So go to projectnextbonuses.com and you'll learn all about how you can register for the upcoming challenge. It's going to be amazing. They've got some incredible speakers, as you can see behind me on my wall here. They've got some incredible speakers that are going to be sharing the lessons, the breakthroughs, the knowledge that they've experienced in this industry of self-education. As you can see, I have a shirt on here that's from those guys called the Self-Education Revolution. And that's what this is about, guys, taking advantage of the opportunity that's in front of us to share your knowledge, expertise, and results with others, get highly paid for it, but also make a true impact. And that at the core of what we do is that's what it's all about. So go to projectnextbonuses.com, projectnextbonuses.com, and register for the challenge. And I look forward to participating in it with you.